The governor of the state of South Carolina is the head of state for the state of South Carolina. Under the South Carolina Constitution, the governor is also the head of government, serving as the chief executive of the South Carolina executive branch. The governor is the ex officio commander-in-chief of the National Guard when not called into federal use. The governor's responsibilities include making yearly State of the State addresses to the South Carolina General Assembly, submitting an executive budget and ensuring that state laws are enforced. The 116th and current governor of South Carolina is Nikki Haley, who is in her second term after being re-elected in 2014. Haley defeated Democratic candidate Vincent Shaheen in the November 2010 midterm elections, and again in the November 2014 midterm elections. Haley is the first female and first minority governor in the state's history. Requirements to hold office. There are 3 legal requirements set forth in Section 2 of Article 4 of the South Carolina Constitution. Be at least 30 years of age, citizen of the United States and a resident of South Carolina for 5 years preceding the day of election. The final requirement: no person shall be eligible to the office of governor who denies the existence of the Supreme Being, is of extremely doubtful validity in light of the 1961 Supreme Court decision Torcaso v. Watkins, which reaffirmed that religious tests for public officers violated the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. This requirement, however, has still not been removed from the Constitution of South Carolina. Term of office. Under Section 4 in Article 4 of the South Carolina Constitution, the governor serves a 4-year term in office beginning at noon on the first Wednesday following the second Tuesday in January next after his or her election and ending at noon on the first Wednesday following the second Tuesday in January 4 years later. Section 3 of Article 4 states that no person shall be elected governor for more than 2 successive terms. For clarification, a person can hold an unlimited amount of terms as governor as long as the such person does not serve more than 2 consecutive terms. Powers. Appoints directors to 14 cabinet agencies, but most appointments are shared with the General Assembly. Commander-in-Chief of the South Carolina National Guard. Commander-in-Chief of the South Carolina State Guard, which is an auxiliary of the National Guard organized for in-state homeland defense to protect the lives and property of South Carolinians. Grants reprieves and commutes death sentences to life imprisonment. May call the General Assembly to an extra session, a general veto and a line-item veto on budget bills. Succession. If the incumbent governor is no longer able or permitted to fulfill the duties of the office of governor, the following line of succession will be followed. If all 3 are unable to be governor, then the General Assembly will elect a new governor. During impeachment or when the governor is temporarily disabled or absent from office, the lieutenant governor will have the powers of the governor. If the governor-elect is unable to fulfill the duties of the office of the governor, the lieutenant governor will become governor when the incumbent governor's term expires. If there is an incumbent governor beginning a new term, but a lieutenant governor-elect, and if the incumbent governor is unable to fulfill the duties of the office of the governor, the incumbent lieutenant governor shall become governor until the inauguration date, and the lieutenant governor-elect shall become governor on the date. Oath of office. I do solemnly swear that I am duly qualified, according to the Constitution of this state, to exercise the duties of the office to which I have been elected, and that I will, to the best of my ability, discharge the duties thereof, and preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of this state and of the United States. So help me God. Official residence. The governor's mansion, located at 800 Richland Street in Columbia, on Arsenal Hill, is the official residence of the governor of South Carolina. It was built in 1855 and originally served as faculty quarters for the Arsenal Academy, which together with the Citadel Academy in Charleston formed the South Carolina Military Academy. The Arsenal was burned by Sherman's forces in February 1865 and never reopened. The faculty quarters building was the only structure to survive and became the official residence of the governor in 1868. The South Carolina Constitution in Section 20 of Article 4 specifies that the governor is to reside where the General Assembly convenes. History. The South Carolina Constitution of 1776 specified for the governor to be chosen by the General Assembly. In 1778, the Constitution was amended to change the title for the chief of the executive branch from president to governor. A new constitution was promulgated in 1865 following the capture of the state by the Union Army in the Civil War. It called for the direct election of the governor, but continued to limit the vote to white males. On October 18, 1865, James Lawrence Orr was the first governor of South Carolina to be elected by popular vote. Following the state's failure to adopt the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution, the U.S. Congress eliminated all offices of state government. A temporary military government headed by Edward Canby was set up until new elections were held after the writing of the Constitution of 1868. All male citizens above the age of 21, regardless of race, were given the right to vote, and the governor was allowed to be elected to 2 consecutive terms. The election of Ben Tillman in 1890 to governor by the support of agrarian reformers forced a new constitutional convention to be held. The Constitution of 1895 instituted a poll tax and also required voters to pass a literacy test. It did increase the governor's powers by granting a line-item veto on the budget. In 1926, an amendment to the Constitution was passed that lengthened the governor's term to 4 years but prevented consecutive terms. Governor Richard Riley pushed for an amendment to allow for 2 consecutive terms, and it was passed by the voters in 1980.